Hey friends, my name is Gabby and welcome to my channel if you're new, and today I want to share two stories with you. One of them happened 2 years ago, the other one happened yesterday, and it made me realize that we are impacting other people and we are making a bigger difference in other people's lives than we might think. Sometimes I have these questions in my mind of, okay, like I am doing random acts of kindness to people and they don't even know it, or, I am being generous, I'm being positive, I go out into the world and these are the kind of qualities or the values that I want to lead my life with. But then I'm wondering, but is it even making a difference? Like if I am being a kind person in this world, is it actually making a difference, right? So sometimes I kind of like wonder, I'm doing all these things, but how is this helping the planet, or how is this helping humanity, right? I know these are like very big questions, but so I thought of something yesterday from what happened 2 years ago, and I wanted to share with you. So the first story takes place in New York City in 2019. It was the summer of 2019. I was still living in New York and I was sitting in a cafe. I was working from this cafe in my neighborhood, and there was a guy, or a man I should say, sitting next to me, just a few tables over, and he was reading a book. He was totally immersed in his book, and I was, on my laptop doing my work, and then I saw these two women go towards the door. So I was sitting right by the door, and the door was like, the exit was right here, and these two women were like coming towards me from the back of the cafe, and they both had strollers. As they were approaching the door, like the door was opening outward, right? As they were approaching the door, out of nowhere, this man that was sitting next to me, he stood up, he left his book and everything, he just stood up, he walked around the table, he went outside, and he just was opening the door, and he kept it open as he was standing outside. And then as these women were leaving, the first one looked at him and said, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much, that's so kind of you." And the other woman behind her, because they both had strollers, said, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much, that's so nice of you, I really appreciate it." And then they just left. He went back, into the cafe, sat down at the table and continued to read. And I was sitting there being like, how incredible was this? He saw these complete strangers approaching, about to exit, right? It wasn't his duty or anything that he had to stand up and go out of his way to hold the door open for these two women, but he did it. And it moved me so much. Like, I really think about it still. He has no idea how much he impacted a stranger, me, that was sitting just a few tables over. And the reason I'm telling you this story is because a week later, I was at the same cafe, sitting at the same spot, working, and I saw this woman coming towards the door with a stroller. And I saw her come towards the door, so I anticipated that she was about to leave. I stood up, I walked around my table, I went outside, and I held the door open. And she left, and she looked me straight in the eye, and she said, "Thank you so much, I really appreciate it." And I was like, "No worries, you're welcome." And then I went back into the cafe, sat down, and that's it. So if not that guy from a week ago, I wonder if I would have been inspired to stop my work, stand up, and put a little bit of effort into making somebody else's day a little bit easier. Because having to open the door that opens outward while you have a stroller and you're leaving, it's just a little hassle. But I was able to eliminate that small hassle for somebody else because I saw this guy from a week ago do exactly the same thing. So when I do random acts of kindness, out in the world, or when I am, giving somebody words of encouragement, or I'm just being the positive me, sometimes I'm wondering, is it making a difference, right? And you are making a difference. You might not know it, but I always say this, like, the effect that we have on the world, or when we live with these values of kindness and generosity, it's almost like this quiet ripple effect. Like, you have no idea, but it is affecting those around you, especially people close to you, your family, your friends, and then it can go into like, your coworkers, your community, strangers, the world, and so on. So the reason I wanted to tell you the story about that stranger is because when you see somebody else do an act of kindness, like I observed, it inspired me to do an act of kindness. And then when I was faced with the same situation that the guy was faced, I performed that act of kindness. So he has no idea that just by doing this act of kindness for somebody else, he really moved me and inspired me to do the same. And to this day, I think about that stranger and just what an impact he had on me. And the other story is that yesterday I was biking. I was biking through the city and I was in okay mood. I wasn't too happy. I was just all right. And I was at a junction, right? And I'm in the Netherlands, so bikes have like their own lanes and their own stoplights and everything. So I was at a red and I was waiting for the light to turn green, and then the light turned green and I started cycling this way, and then the traffic, well, the bikes from the other side of the street were cycling towards me. So I looked up and I saw this man sitting on the bike cycling. He was maybe in his 60s, mid 60s, and he was so happy. I can't even tell you. He looked so at peace. He looked so joyful. He looked so relaxed. And as I looked up, he also looked at me and he smiled. And I couldn't stop. I couldn't I couldn't, what's the word that I'm trying to use? I couldn't help but smile back, and I smiled back, and he just cycled past me. And then the rest of the time that I was cycling, I was just smiling to myself. I was like, my God, like life is simpler than we make it, And I don't know, just seeing that man so relaxed and so happy made me feel so good. It made me happy. It made me smile. So again, he has no idea that just by him, I don't know why he was in such a good mood. And I feel like also this is something that we question in our world. If somebody's really happy or somebody's really joyful, we say, why are you so happy? Because it's become accustomed that being stressed is normal, being anxious is normal, being upset is normal, being, whatever else is normal. But if you are just happy and joyful for no reason, people question your intentions. They're like, why are you so happy? Why is your life going so good? Why do you seem so joyful? Why not? I'm alive on this freaking planet, having this human experience. Why wouldn't I be happy? So seeing that man yesterday so happy, oh, somebody's messaging me. All right. Okay. Seeing this man so happy and so relaxed made me so happy. Hold on a second. It's my boo. So seeing that man so happy and so relaxed and so joyful, and just him smiling to me and me smiling back, made me kind of get out of my head and just be like, man, life's good. So all of this to say, you are making a bigger difference in the world than you think. You are making a difference and you don't even know it. The same way, if you go into meetings, you go into your community, you are in a circle of friends and you are being judgmental or pessimistic, or a friend comes to you with this idea that really excites them and sparks them and they want to do it, and you put them down and you doubt them and you put your fears onto them, you are also making a difference. And this is something that I've talked to with my boyfriend about, that one person's words can impact you in such a big way that even years later you might be still carrying it with you. And more times than not, it might be the negative, the bad stuff rather than the good. One person saying something to you that is judgmental, mean, or putting you down can really have such a huge and lasting effect. The same way, if you are the positivity in somebody's life, if you are the supportive person in somebody's life, you have no idea what big of a difference you can make. So you are making a bigger difference than you think. Your actions are making a bigger difference than you think. How you act, how you approach strangers is making a bigger difference than you think. So really, we might walk around saying, oh, what I do doesn't impact anybody. My actions are not gonna impact the world. But the same example that, I've used or people have used when it comes to something like plastic. Oh, it's only me using these plastic cups. What's the big deal? Like, if I use a plastic cup every single day, it's only me, one person. How would I contribute to, pollution? But if 100 million people are thinking the same way, what? my difference doesn't really matter. That's 100 million people collectively making a difference, right? Not in a very positive way. So just something for you to think about, because really me observing that man opening the door for the two women with strollers, and then that older man yesterday smiling to me, and him just being so relaxed and happy, really makes me realize that just by being who we are, especially when it comes to wonderful values and qualities like practicing kindness, being generous, being positive, it does make a difference, and it makes a bigger difference than you might think. So thank you so much, friends, for watching this video. If you have any thoughts, any stories of you observing a stranger doing an act of kindness, or maybe a person that pops into your head that has been very supportive, that made a big difference in your life, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear those stories. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next week. Bye!